Brajkovich has quite a history with Biki gang violence and criminal activities. But what happens when the hunter becomes the prey? How did Dayne Brajkovich shift from being a key member of the feared Hells Angels to finding himself the target of a brutal attack? What led to the dangerous confrontation that put Brajkovich's life at risk, and who was behind the assault? We are here to reveal it all. So, stay tuned. In December 2023, chaos erupted at a Ministry of Sound concert in Perth, Australia. Dayne Brajkovich, once the Sergeant-at-Arms for the Hells Angels, was at the heart of a violent incident during a concert at Kings Park and Botanic Gardens in Perth, which is quite predictable. This time, however, Dayne Brajkovich was the victim. The violent clash happened around 9:50 p.m. as people were leaving the concert. But first, let's take a step back and explore the fascinating life of Dayne Brajkovich, a man whose story is like a thrilling crime novel. Known across Australia for his extensive tattoos, Dayne Brajkovich is the country's most inked biker. His body is a living canvas that tells the story of his life, passions, and ties to motorcycle clubs. His tattoos became so infamous that they pushed him into the spotlight during the Western Australian government's crackdown on biker clubs. Law enforcement singled out Dayne as they pushed for controversial laws to ban the public display of biker symbols. Brajkovich's descent into the criminal underworld started with his boxing career, where he gained attention after knocking out Nick Cara in the second round. His life took a darker turn when he was arrested for selling ecstasy in 2009, resulting in a 2-year prison sentence. Despite facing numerous challenges, including being shot and living with a bullet lodged in his left leg, Brajkovich remained tight-lipped and refused to help police investigations. He admitted to using steroids in his youth, eventually becoming a heavily tattooed and muscular enforcer. In 2020, Brajkovich was fined $800 for a violent public brawl with the late Rebels gang leader, Nick Martin. Just 2 weeks before Martin was fatally shot, CCTV footage of Brajkovich repeatedly punching Martin gained significant attention. Brajkovich's lawyer, Patrick Gardner, explained in court that Brajkovich was having lunch at a bar when Nick Martin, who he called the other gentleman, came in. There was a brief verbal exchange. Gardner mentioned that Martin was quite large, 193 km tall and 120 kg, and that Brajkovich felt threatened, asking Martin to leave, which didn't happen. A second verbal exchange occurred, and feeling threatened, Brajkovich chose to fight. No one was seriously injured, but Brajkovich now understands the fight shouldn't have happened. He's seeing a psychologist and won't seek anger management counseling. Gardner added that Brajkovich will be banned from licensed premises. Magistrate Donna Webb noted the public would have found the fight frightening and mentioned that Brajkovich was convicted in June for causing fear by being armed or pretending to be armed in public. Given his immediate guilty plea, an $800 fine was deemed appropriate. Brajkovich was also ordered to pay $130 in court costs and made no comment as he left the court. The state government had also offered a $1 million reward for information, leading to the conviction of Martin's murderer. Then, in March 2021, former friend and Rebels biker Jason Kemp retaliated by shooting 6 bullets into Brajkovich's car outside his former home, where his wife and her 9-year-old daughter were present. Police reported that around 5 or 6 shots were fired at Dayne Brajkovich's house. Brajkovich, a member of the Hells Angels, had previously attacked Martin before Martin's murder. The shots were fired at his Ascot home around 7:15 p.m. But fortunately, no one was injured. Police Commissioner Chris Dawson mentioned that forensics were investigating the scene, confirming that at least 5 or 6 shots were fired. At the time of the shooting, there were 3 people in the house and a vehicle arriving at the address. Detectives believed that a black Porsche stolen from Applecross in February was involved in the shooting, Shortly after, a burnt-out Porsche was found in High Wycombe. Police asked for anyone who saw the vehicle with a registration WMP 888 between February 21 and March 2 to contact Crime Stoppers. They were also looking for any CCTV or dashcam footage from the Sedgeland Way area of Ascot between 5:30 p.m. and 8:00 p.m. on the day of the incident. Despite numerous setbacks, Brajkovich gained recognition for successfully challenging Western Australia's anti-insignia laws. In January 2023, Dayne Brajkovich managed to successfully challenge Western Australia's anti-insignia laws, which were put in place to ban the display of outlaw motorcycle gang symbols. This challenge stemmed from an incident in 2022 when Brajkovich was charged for allegedly wearing a Hells Angels singlet and showing off his gang tattoos in public. When the case went to court, Brajkovich was found not guilty. The magistrate's decision was based on the fact that the prosecution couldn't prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Brajkovich was the individual seen in the CCTV footage. Additionally, the footage that was supposed to show his tattoos wasn't clear enough to determine if they were visible at all. This ruling was quite significant as it marked a legal milestone. Brajkovich became the first person in the past year to successfully fight against the insignia charges in Western Australia. This came right after he was kicked out of the Hells Angels following a violent altercation with senior members. In March 2023, he was back in the spotlight when it was revealed that the Perth Mint had poor financial oversight. In June 2022, he used a debit card to buy $27,000 worth of gold, which led to increased scrutiny of the Mint's financial practices and a ban on his future gold purchases there. An investigation by Four Corners uncovered significant lapses in the compliance measures of the Perth Mint, a government-owned entity in Western Australia. These deficiencies could potentially cost taxpayers billions of dollars. The Perth Mint was legally obligated to perform thorough checks when selling gold to high-risk customers and to scrutinize the sources of their funds. However, these stringent procedures were not followed when Dayne Brajkovich, the former sergeant-at-arms of the Hells Angels motorcycle gang, in WA entered the Perth Mint gift shop in June last year to purchase gold. Brajkovich made headlines again when he attempted to sell his Hells Angels gear on Gumtree, defying the club's rules. His eventful life as a Western Australian biker keeps evolving, with every chapter bringing new twists and surprises. But everything changed after that. At 44, Brajkovich found himself the target of a brutal stabbing, leaving him with a severe neck wound. The altercation began as a confrontation with some men outside a concert venue and quickly turned violent. Witnesses provided vivid descriptions of the scene, recalling how Brajkovich was in shock, clutching his throat. Emergency responders, including police and paramedics, rushed to the location on Lovekin Drive. Brajkovich was swiftly taken to Royal Perth Hospital for emergency surgery due to the severity of his injuries. The gravity of the situation attracted gang crime detectives, Perth detectives, and state security officers, who remained at the scene well into the night, investigating the incident. A police helicopter circling above Kings Park underscored the seriousness of the event. The entire incident was a chaotic and tense situation, reflecting the dangerous nature of the confrontation and the urgency with which authorities responded. Eyewitnesses leaving the concert described a chaotic scene with at least 6 people involved in a brawl. Bystanders quickly rushed to help Brajkovich, who had a serious cut on the left side of his neck. During the struggle, he also injured a finger while trying to defend himself. His wife, Jacinta Hill, was there and witnessed the horrifying events unfold. Later, witnesses confirmed that Brajkovich's throat wasn't just stabbed, it was slit from behind, adding a disturbing and brutal layer to the incident. The scene was chaotic, with people screaming and trying to assist Brajkovich, while others were in shock at the violence they had just witnessed. This violent altercation not only left Brajkovich seriously injured, but also deeply affected those who saw it happen, especially his wife. The entire situation highlighted the dangerous and unpredictable nature of such violent confrontations, leaving a lasting impact on everyone involved. In a recent press conference, Detective Senior Sergeant Anthony Thompson from the Gang Crime Squad discussed the alarming incident. He suggested that the attack was likely targeted and possibly driven by revenge. The event involved members of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club and a former member. Detective Thompson emphasized that such violent actions won't be tolerated and will have serious consequences. He also warned outlaw motorcycle clubs against using violence, stating that law enforcement would take all necessary measures to protect the public. However, this shocking incident leaves many questions unanswered. Why was Brajkovich targeted so violently? Was this attack really due to internal conflicts within the Hells Angels, as gang crime detectives suggest? What impact will this have on Brajkovich's reputation and his connections in the criminal underworld? Additionally, what steps will law enforcement take to ensure public safety, especially during large events like concerts? Will there be increased security measures to prevent similar incidents in the future? The attack on Brajkovich, once a feared figure in the biker community, highlighted the dangers of such a lifestyle. Despite his notorious past, the brutal assault made him seem more vulnerable, sparking debates about justice, retribution, and the cycle of violence in the criminal underworld. Police and detectives are asking the public for any photos, videos, or eyewitness accounts of a recent incident. Witnesses saw a group of about 6 people escaping on motorcycles from Kings Park, leaving chaos and fear behind. The police acknowledged that a quick-thinking doctor prevented a tragic outcome, but haven't confirmed if it was a murder attempt or provided details about the weapon, only noting it was small and sharp. The day after the attack, photos of Dayne Brajkovich surfaced, showing him leaving the hospital with his wife, bandaged but recovering. When asked about the incident, Brajkovich was tight-lipped, saying only, "I asked for it, and I got it." That's the game. He appeared surprised by the attack, initially thinking he was more seriously injured than he was. He provided no further details about the event. In response to this incident, the Western Australian police acted swiftly to address the situation. Overnight, police searched multiple properties across the Perth metropolitan area, with help from various units, including the Gang Crime Squad, Rapid Apprehension Squad, Drug and Firearms Squad, Regional Operations Group, and Tactical Response Group. These efforts resulted in the seizure of 3 motorcycles and the arrest of 5 people. One of the arrested individuals faced charges related to drugs and firearms. A notable arrest occurred on December 9 at around 5:20 p.m. in a suburban area. Officers visited a house and arrested a 46-year-old man linked to the Hells Angels. During the search, they found a loaded gun hidden in a couch, along with ammunition. They also discovered drugs, including cocaine, methamphetamine, steroids, and prescription medications. The arrested individuals appeared in court, facing charges for their roles in these illegal activities. The attack on Dayne Brajkovich, once a dominant figure in the biker community, underscores the perilous nature of such a lifestyle. Despite his notorious past, this brutal assault has shown him in a more vulnerable light, sparking debates about justice, retribution, and the relentless cycle of violence within the criminal underworld.
Once a formidable figure within the notorious Hells Angels, Brajkovich's reign of terror left a trail of violence and chaos in its wake. But what happens when the tables turn and the hunter becomes the hunted? How did Dayne Brajkovich go from being a member of the infamous Hells Angels to becoming the target of a violent attack? What were the events leading up to the confrontation that left Brajkovich in such peril? And who was behind the assault? Well, join us as we uncover the shocking events surrounding the most dangerous encounter involving Dayne Brajkovich. and witness firsthand how the WA police stepped in to take decisive action. In December 2023, chaos erupted at a Ministry of Sound concert in Perth, Australia. Dayne Brajkovich, a former Hells Angels Sergeant-at-Arms, found himself at the center of a violent incident during a concert at Kings Park and Botanic Gardens in Perth. This time, however, he was on the receiving end of the violence. The chaotic clash unfolded around 9:50 p.m. as concertgoers were leaving the venue. But first, let's rewind a bit and delve into the intriguing life of Dayne Brajkovich, a man whose story reads like a gripping novel of crime and controversy. Renowned throughout Australia for his extensive body art, Dayne Brajkovich has secured the title of the nation's most tattooed biker. His body serves as a living canvas, depicting the tale of his life's journey, passions, and affiliations with motorcycle clubs. His collection of tattoos became so notorious that it thrust him into the forefront of the Western Australian government's crackdown on biker clubs. Law enforcement officials specifically identified Dayne as they advocated for controversial legislation to ban the public display of biker-related symbols. Brajkovich's journey into the world of crime began as a boxer, where he gained notoriety for his match against Nick Cara, resulting in a second-round knockout. However, his life took a dark turn when he faced drug charges, leading to a 2-year imprisonment for selling ecstasy at a prison in 2009. Despite facing challenges, including a gunshot incident that left him with a lodged bullet in his left leg, Brajkovich remained silent and refused to cooperate with police investigations. Acknowledging his use of steroids during his youth, Brajkovich transformed into a heavily tattooed and muscular enforcer. In 2020, he faced an $800 fine for a violent public altercation with the late Rebels gang boss Nick Martin, just 2 weeks before Martin's fatal shooting. CCTV footage captured Brajkovich repeatedly punching Martin, leading to widespread attention. In March 2021, former friend and Rebels biker Jason Kemp retaliated by firing 6 bullets into Brajkovich's car outside his former residence, where his wife and her 9-year-old daughter were present. Despite facing challenges, Brajkovich garnered attention for successfully challenging anti-insignia laws in Western Australia in 2022. This came after he was expelled from the Hells Angels Biker Club following a violent clash with its senior members. Dayne once more captured media attention in March 2023 when the Perth Mint's inadequate financial oversight was revealed. Using a debit card, he acquired $27,000 worth of gold in June 2022, prompting heightened scrutiny of the Mint's financial protocols. Consequently, he faced a prohibition on future gold purchases from the Mint. Dayne made headlines again when he attempted to sell his Hells Angels items on Gumtree, going against the club's rules. His colorful life as a Western Australian biker continues to unfold, with each chapter bringing new twists and turns. Now, Brajkovich, 44 years old, became the target of a brutal stabbing, leaving him with a severe laceration on his neck. The altercation stemmed from a confrontation with other men outside the concert venue, escalating into a violent clash. Witnesses described the scene vividly, noting Brajkovich's distress as he clutched his throat in shock. Emergency responders, including police and paramedics, rushed to the scene on Lovekin Drive. Brajkovich was swiftly taken to Royal Perth Hospital for emergency surgery. The severity of the situation attracted the attention of gang crime detectives, Perth detectives, and state security officers, who remained at the scene late into the night. The incident was so intense that a police helicopter circled above Kings Park, underscoring the seriousness of the situation. Eyewitnesses leaving the concert recounted a chaotic scene involving at least 6 individuals engaged in a brawl. Bystanders rushed to aid Brajkovich, who displayed a serious laceration on the left side of his neck. During the struggle, Brajkovich also suffered an injury to one of his fingers while attempting to defend himself. His wife, Jacinta Hill, witnessed the horrifying events unfold. Later, witnesses confirmed that Brajkovich's throat wasn't just stabbed. It was slit from behind, adding a disturbing layer to the already brutal narrative. In a recent press conference, Detective Senior Sergeant Anthony Thompson from the Gang Crime Squad shed light on this concerning incident that took place. He indicated that the event was likely a targeted attack, possibly driven by retaliation. The incident involved individuals associated with the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club and a former member. Detective Thompson stressed that such violent acts won't be tolerated and will face serious consequences. He also warned outlaw motorcycle clubs against perpetrating violence. stating that law enforcement would take lawful measures to protect the public. But this shocking incident has left many questions unanswered. Why was Brajkovich targeted in such a violent manner? Was this attack really a result of internal conflicts within the Hells Angels motorcycle club, as suggested by gang crime detectives? What repercussions will this incident have on Brajkovich's reputation and his connections within the criminal underworld? Moreover, what steps will law enforcement take to ensure the safety of the public, particularly during large events like concerts? Will there be increased security measures put in place to prevent similar incidents in the future? The attack on Brajkovich, once a menacing and notorious figure within the biker community, highlighted the dangers inherent in such a lifestyle. Despite his notorious past, Brajkovich's vulnerability in the face of such a brutal assault humanized him in the eyes of many, sparking debates about justice, retribution, and the cycle of violence within the criminal underworld. The police and detectives appeal to the public for any photographic or video evidence of the incident or those involved, or they are even looking for someone who might have seen what happened to come forward. Witnesses reported seeing a group of around 6 individuals fleeing the scene on motorcycles, leaving behind chaos and fear in Kings Park. The police believe that if it wasn't for a quick-thinking doctor, things could have ended tragically. But they haven't confirmed if it was an attempt to kill anyone and didn't give details about the weapon used, except that it was a small, sharp one. The day after the attack, pictures of Dayne Brajkovich surfaced. He was seen leaving the hospital with his wife, visibly bandaged but recovering. When asked about what happened, Brajkovich didn't give much away, just saying, "I asked for it, and I got it." That's the game. He seemed surprised by the attack and said he thought he'd been stabbed in a more serious place, but it turned out to be less severe. He mentioned nothing more about the incident. Following this event, the Western Australian police took immediate action. They carried out searches across various properties in the Perth metropolitan region overnight. They had help from various police units, including the Gang Crime Squad, the Rapid Apprehension Squad, the Drug Firearm Squad, the Regional Operations Group, and the Tactical Response Group. These searches led to the seizure of 3 motorcycles and the arrest of 5 people. One person was charged with drug and firearm-related offenses. One significant arrest happened in the suburb at around 5:20 p.m. on December 9th, when officers went to a house and arrested a 46-year-old man who was associated with the Hells Angels. During the search, they found a loaded gun hidden in a couch, along with bullets. They also discovered drugs like cocaine, methamphetamine, steroids, and prescription drugs. The arrested individuals appeared in court, facing charges related to their involvement in these illegal activities. The attack on Dayne Brajkovich serves as a stark reminder of the dangers inherent in the world of outlaw motorcycle gangs.
Dayne Brajkovich's journey with the Hells Angels began years ago, marking him as a prominent figure in the notorious motorcycle club. Joining the gang at a young age, Brajkovich quickly immersed himself in the biker lifestyle, embracing the brotherhood and the code that came with it. His commitment and fearlessness helped him climb the ranks, eventually earning him the powerful position of Sergeant-at-Arms, a role responsible for maintaining order and discipline within the club. Brajkovich's heavily tattooed appearance sets him apart, with ink covering much of his body, including the words Hells Angels prominently displayed on his forehead and 1% on his neck. These tattoos are not just for show. They signify his deep allegiance to the outlaw motorcycle gang and his readiness to defend its honor at all costs. Within the Hells Angels, Brajkovich is known for his tough persona and unwavering loyalty, traits that earned him respect and fear alike. Publicly, he is recognized as a symbol of the gang's rebellious and often violent image, making headlines for his involvement in various high-profile incidents. His tattoos and notorious reputation make him an unmistakable figure in the world of outlaw bikers. The dispute that led to Dayne Brajkovich's expulsion from the Hells Angels began with a significant clash between him and other senior members of the gang. The primary source of conflict was Brajkovich's strong disapproval of Hells Angels members socializing with rival gangs. He believed that mingling with bikies from groups like the Rebels and the Gypsy Jokers undermined the gang's unity and loyalty. The tensions came to a head when several Hells Angels members attended a birthday party at the Rebels clubhouse and were later seen at the Goldfield Sand Drags event with the Gypsy Jokers. These incidents infuriated Brajkovich, who viewed them as betrayals of the gang's core principles. He felt that such actions weakened the Hells Angels' stance against their rivals and jeopardized their reputation. The confrontation escalated during a heated exchange between Brajkovich and other senior members, where he voiced his concerns vehemently. The disagreement quickly turned physical, with reports suggesting that Brajkovich was punched before being forcibly ejected from the club. This violent altercation marked the end of his long-standing membership in the Hells Angels and set the stage for potential future conflicts within the biker community. The fallout. The fallout from Dayne Brajkovich's expulsion from the Hells Angels was both swift and significant. The altercation that led to his ejection was reportedly violent, with Brajkovich being physically confronted by other senior members. Rumors suggest that the clash was intense, with Brajkovich being punched and forcibly removed from the gang's ranks, marking a dramatic end to his tenure. The immediate reactions within the gang were mixed. Some members supported the decision, believing that Brajkovich's rigid stance against mingling with rival gangs was causing internal strife. Others viewed his expulsion as a betrayal of a loyal and long-standing member. This division highlighted the growing tensions and differing perspectives within the Hells Angels. In the wider community, the news of Brajkovich's expulsion made headlines, drawing attention to the internal dynamics of one of the most infamous biker gangs. The implications for the Hells Angels were profound, as the removal of such a high-profile figure could signal vulnerability and disunity. Rival gangs, aware of the situation, might see this as an opportunity to challenge the Hells Angels' dominance, potentially leading to increased tensions and conflicts in the biker world. Brajkovich's expulsion could thus have lasting impacts on the power dynamics and future interactions between these notorious groups. Historical context. Dayne Brajkovich's expulsion from the Hells Angels echoes previous notable gang defections, such as the departure of Troy Mercanti from the Coffin Cheaters to the Finks and Kevin Mad Mick Woodhouse from the Darrows to the Coffin Cheaters. Both incidents sparked violent turf wars, with Mercanti's defection leading to an all-out war and Woodhouse's causing a year-long battle that left blood on the streets. These historical precedents suggest a high potential for violence and turf wars following Brajkovich's removal. When key figures switch allegiances or are expelled, it often destabilizes the delicate balance of power among rival gangs. In Australia, gang violence has a storied history, marked by brutal conflicts over territory and dominance. Brajkovich's expulsion could reignite these tensions, potentially leading to new confrontations as gangs vie for control and reassert their dominance in a volatile landscape. Legal troubles and public perception. Dayne Brajkovich's legal troubles have been numerous and highly publicized. His violent bashing of Rebels gang chief Nick Martin at a bar in 2020, just weeks before Martin's assassination, brought significant media attention. Brajkovich was fined $800 for the attack. In March 2021, his home in Ascot was targeted in a drive-by shooting, where up to 5 shots were fired. These incidents highlighted his prominent role in ongoing gang conflicts. The introduction of new bikie laws in Western Australia specifically targeted individuals like Brajkovich. These laws banned the public display of gang insignia, including tattoos that signify gang affiliation. Brajkovich, with Hells Angels tattooed on his forehead and 1% or on his neck, became a prime example of the law's focus. Authorities suggested he might need to cover his tattoos with makeup or band-aids to comply. Public and law enforcement responses have been critical of Brajkovich. DODA Police Commissioner Chris Dawson called his behavior defiant and emphasized that flaunting gang symbols was an act of defiance against the law. The public perception of Brajkovich is largely negative, viewing him as a symbol of outlaw biker culture and its associated violence. These legal pressures and societal views continue to shape the narrative around Brajkovich and his activities. What's next for Brajkovich? What's next for Dayne Brajkovich is a question that stirs much speculation. Given his history and notoriety, it's unlikely that he will remain unaffiliated for long. Brajkovich's options include joining another motorcycle gang and leveraging his reputation and experience. His extensive tattoos and public persona indicate a deep commitment to the outlaw biker lifestyle, making a complete exit from the scene improbable. The likelihood of other gangs accepting him is significant, primarily due to his ability to bring in money and his established reputation. The rule among outlaw motorcycle clubs is straightforward. If you can contribute financially and bolster the gang's influence, you're an asset. However, his previous ties to the Hells Angels might complicate his acceptance. Any gang that takes him in would have to consider the potential backlash from the Hells Angels, potentially reigniting old rivalries. The introduction of Brajkovich into another gang could lead to further conflicts. Given his history of violent altercations and the dramatic nature of his expulsion, other gangs might see his addition as both an asset and a risk. The biker world is notoriously volatile, with alliances and enmities shifting rapidly. Brajkovich's next move could easily spark new turf wars or escalate existing tensions. In summary, while Brajkovich is likely to find a new place within the biker community, his transition won't be smooth. The dynamics of gang rivalry and the ever-present potential for violence mean that his future will remain fraught with challenges and conflicts, keeping both law enforcement and rival gangs on high alert.
Dayne Brajkovich's journey into the criminal underworld began in his early years. Starting off as a promising Muay Thai boxer, he quickly gained notoriety for his skills in the ring. One of his most memorable matches was against Nick Cara, where Brajkovich secured a knockout in the second round. However, his life took a darker turn when he faced drug charges. In 2009, he was imprisoned for 2 years for selling ecstasy, marking his entry into a life of crime. After his stint in prison, Brajkovich's path led him to the infamous Hells Angels motorcycle club. His physical transformation was dramatic, as he bulked up and covered his body in tattoos, each one telling a story of his life and affiliations. Within the Hells Angels, Brajkovich rose quickly through the ranks to become the Sergeant-at-Arms, a position of significant power and responsibility. His role involved enforcing the club's rules and dealing with internal conflicts. One of the most notable incidents in his career involved a violent altercation with the late Rebels club boss, Nick Martin. This public brawl, captured on CCTV, showed Brajkovich repeatedly punching Martin, which led to widespread media attention. Just 2 weeks after this fight, Martin was fatally shot, further entangling Brajkovich in club-related violence. Brajkovich's reputation extended beyond his actions. His extensive tattoos became a symbol of his identity. The media often highlighted his body art, making him a recognizable figure in Australia. This notoriety wasn't limited to his appearance. His involvement in various criminal activities kept him in the public eye. Law enforcement and the public closely followed his movements, especially after he successfully challenged anti-insignia laws in Western Australia in 2022, which allowed him to display his club affiliations openly. The ambush. In December 2023, the Ministry of Sound concert in Kings Park, Perth, was the setting for a dramatic and violent turn of events. The park, usually a serene and beautiful spot, was transformed into a lively concert venue filled with music and an energetic crowd. As the night progressed, the atmosphere buzzed with excitement, and concertgoers enjoyed the performance under the night sky. At around 9:50 p.m., as the concert was winding down and people were leaving the venue, chaos erupted. Dayne Brajkovich found himself at the center of a brutal attack. Out of nowhere, he was ambushed by a group of men. Witnesses described a sudden, violent confrontation in which Brajkovich was stabbed in the neck. Clutching his throat in shock, he tried to fend off his attackers, but sustained a severe laceration. Eyewitnesses painted a vivid picture of the chaotic scene. They saw Brajkovich distressed and bleeding, surrounded by concertgoers who were both frightened and trying to help. The attack was quick and brutal, leaving many in the crowd stunned and horrified by what they had witnessed. Emergency responders, including police and paramedics, quickly arrived at Lovekin Drive, the site of the stabbing. Brajkovich was swiftly taken to the Royal Perth Hospital for emergency surgery to address his life-threatening injuries. The severity of the incident was underscored by the deployment of a police helicopter circling above Kings Park, highlighting the seriousness of the situation. Initial media reports covered the attack extensively, capturing the public's attention and sparking widespread concern. The news of Brajkovich's ambush spread rapidly, with many speculating about the motives and the potential fallout from such a high-profile incident. Motives behind the attack. The attack on Dayne Brajkovich raises many questions, especially about the motives behind such a brutal assault. Understanding the context within the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club is crucial. The Hells Angels have a long history of internal conflicts and retribution. These disputes often stem from power struggles, personal vendettas, and perceived betrayals. Within the club, loyalty is paramount, and any sign of disloyalty can lead to violent consequences. Over the years, Brajkovich has been at the center of several high-profile incidents, including altercations with other club members. These past conflicts provide a backdrop for understanding why he might have been targeted. Detective Senior Sergeant Anthony Thompson shed some light on the possible motives behind the attack. He suggested that the incident was likely a targeted act of retribution. According to Thompson, this wasn't a random act of violence, but a deliberate assault linked to internal club issues. The history of disputes within the Hells Angels and Brajkovich's falling out with the club's senior members make this theory plausible. Speculation about who might be behind the attack is rampant. Some believe it could be a faction within the Hells Angels seeking revenge for past grievances. Others think it might be rival club members trying to settle scores. Brajkovich's violent altercation with Nick Martin, a former Rebels club boss, and the subsequent shooting at his car by former friend Jason Kemp are examples of the dangerous rivalries he was involved in. These incidents highlight the high-stakes environment of outlaw motorcycle clubs, where vengeance is a common motive. Analyzing past incidents and rivalries involving Brajkovich provides a clearer picture of the potential reasons for the attack. His tumultuous relationships within and outside the Hells Angels make him a prime target for retribution. The ambush appears to be the latest chapter in a series of violent encounters tied to the dangerous world of motorcycle clubs. Law enforcement response. The response from law enforcement to the ambush on Dayne Brajkovich was swift and comprehensive. Immediately following the attack, club crime detectives and state security officers flooded the scene at Kings Park. Their presence underscored the severity of the incident. A police helicopter circled above, highlighting the large-scale operation underway to secure the area and search for suspects. The investigations didn't stop there. Overnight, police conducted coordinated searches across various properties in Perth. This large-scale effort involved multiple units, including the Club Crime Squad, Rapid Apprehension Squad, and the Drug and Firearms Squad. These searches led to significant findings, including the seizure of 3 motorcycles, several firearms, and a considerable quantity of drugs. 5 individuals were arrested, with 1 person charged with drug and firearm offenses. The operation demonstrated law enforcement's commitment to cracking down on club-related activities and preventing further violence. Authorities were quick to inform the public and media about the incident. Detective Senior Sergeant Anthony Thompson provided crucial insights into the ongoing investigation. He confirmed that the attack on Brajkovich was likely a targeted assault linked to internal club disputes. Thompson also issued a stern warning to outlaw motorcycle clubs, emphasizing that such violent acts would not be tolerated and would lead to severe consequences. This decisive action by law enforcement highlights their proactive stance in dealing with club violence. By making swift arrests and conducting thorough investigations, they aimed to curb the influence of clubs and ensure public safety. Brajkovich's condition and statements. Dayne Brajkovich sustained severe injuries in the ambush, including a deep laceration on his neck. He was rushed to the Royal Perth Hospital, where he underwent emergency surgery. The timely medical intervention was crucial to saving his life. After several days of recovery, Brajkovich was released from the hospital. Media coverage captured him leaving the facility, bandaged but stable, alongside his wife. In his brief public statements, Brajkovich reflected on the attack with a mix of resignation and defiance. He remarked, "I asked for it and I got it. That's the game." This statement highlights his acceptance of the violent world he inhabits. Brajkovich's nonchalant attitude towards the incident underscores the dangerous and retaliatory nature of biker club life. His words suggest that such violence is an expected part of their existence, raising questions about the ongoing cycle of retribution within these communities. Broader implications. The attack on Dayne Brajkovich has significant implications for the biker community. Within the Hells Angels and other clubs, such incidents can escalate internal conflicts and power struggles. This ambush might trigger a wave of retribution, further destabilizing club dynamics and leading to more violent confrontations. Public and legal repercussions are also inevitable. Law enforcement agencies are likely to intensify their scrutiny of biker clubs, leading to more raids, arrests, and crackdowns on illegal activities. This incident could also prompt legislative changes aimed at curbing club violence and increasing public safety measures. The ambush has sparked a public debate on the dangers posed by outlaw motorcycle clubs and the need for stricter regulations. As the community grapples with the fallout, there is a growing call for comprehensive strategies to address club-related violence and protect the public. Will this violent ambush mark the end of Dayne Brajkovich's reign, or fuel more dangerous confrontations in the biker underworld? Share your thoughts in the comments below. For more gripping stories like this, check out our other videos. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to stay updated.